Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
If you're gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Why, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 248 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know that you have lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making my podcast one of them. If you are enjoying this podcast, though, then I would really love for you to take a screenshot of you listening to this and share it on your socials and tag me, Jen Donovan _ at Jen Donovan, depending on what platform you're on, because it would be super cool to be able to follow your business journey and shout out to you and give you some social media love, just like you tune in and listen to my podcast every week and get to know me a little bit better. Of course, any links that I mention in this podcast episode, you can find at all the W's, socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/248, because that is where the show notes will be housed. Did you get a chance to listen in to last week's episode? If you didn't get a chance to tune in there, slip back after you finished here, of course, and have a listen to episode 247, where I did another great interview with another powerhouse small business owner, sharing their knowledge with you to help you. Oh, really? I've buggered that one up, haven't I? To help make your business life simpler. But before we get started with today's podcast, I just wanted to give a shout out to this week's sponsor. We welcome back Joe McKenzie of Call on Joe. Joe has sponsored a few podcast episodes over the last couple of months. Joe is basically your digital partner that you need in your business. Joe works with small business owners just like yourself to reduce the tech overwhelm. She'll build your website, she'll keep it up to date, she'll do all the troubleshooting. Joe also loves to dip her little marketing hands into email marketing and social media and so much more for you. So if you need some technical help, call on Joe. Get in touch with her at allthewscallonjoe.com. And of course, you can check her out on Facebook and, of course, LinkedIn. All those links, as I mentioned before, sit in the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/248. But if tech is doing your head in, then call on Joe. So we are almost at the end of June as this podcast episode goes live, which means we are almost halfway through 2023. That's pretty scary, isn't it? Or it's pretty amazing, isn't it? Depending on what camp you actually sit in halfway through the year. As you know, I'm a really good goal setter, and although I do find it hard to stick to my goals, just like everybody else out there, I do my best to keep them front and center every single day when I sit here at my desk with my goals strategically placed just above my office desk that I have to look at constantly. So I do try and stick to my business goals whilst chasing the odd bright, shiny object around the universe. But I'll always have bright, shiny object syndrome. I think it's a good thing to have in business, but I do try and stick to my goals. So I wanted to talk halfway through goal setting with you because we're halfway through the year. So firstly, did you set goals at the beginning of 2023? If not, oh, that's okay, but consider this your nudge to set them for the second half of the year. If you did set some goals, how have they gone? Are you checking in with them regularly? Are you deciding strategically, of course, if that or those goals are still relevant, achievable, warranted? Or, and if they are warranted, achievable, relevant, how far are you into achieving them? Are you on your way? Are they still on the to-do list? Um, it's okay to have things still on the to-do list. Perhaps that's the nature of the goal. Like one of my goals, is a bit of a vanity metric, and I really get that. But this goal's about me And so, one of my vanity metric goals is to get 200,000 downloads of this podcast this year. So it's a yearly goal. So of course, it's tracking really well right now, but of course, I won't achieve that goal, or I won't know that I've achieved that goal until either I click over 200,000 downloads or the year finishes out. So there are some goals that are, I guess, ongoing, is my point. So you mightn't have achieved them all right now, but are you on your way? Are they still on the list? Is it a good thing they're still on the list? Et cetera, et cetera. Goals could be things like that, like I was talking about with downloads. Um, it could be, visitors to your website or the growth of your social media, but they can also be financial goals. And if I'm honest, I'm not actually smashing my financial goals, but I do know why, and I do know what to do about it. I just need to make my financial goals a priority and stop doing other stuff, in inverted commas, and start doing my money making activities. I think half of the way you can get over not achieving your goals is to actually acknowledge why you're not achieving that goal, and acknowledging what you can do about it. So, although I'm not smashing my financial goals that I set myself at the start of the year, I know why and I know what it's going to take to get me there. And when I get back from my holiday, I will. Like, I've got a plan of attack. So, money making activities, that's what we should be concentrating on. But unfortunately, sometimes the business of running a business does get in the way. I actually did a really good podcast episode a little while back about money making activities and making them a priority. If you haven't listened to episode 135, then slip back there and have a bit of a listen to that one about money making activities. But before you go and set new goals, or even if you're still on the path you want to be, then with your goals, then perhaps consider these questions. In the first 6 months of 2023, what did you absolutely love creating and working on? What did you hate working on? What was tough and felt difficult? What was your biggest moneymaker? Of course, on the reverse of that, what was your least moneymaker? And what do you never ever want to do again? I know that you're possibly in the car or out walking or running when you're listening to this. So they're questions that you might need to come back to. Often I take a screenshot of the time that I'm at when I want to go back to a podcast. So I take a screenshot so I can see, approximately when I have to go back to find the bit of the podcast that I want to listen to again. So maybe you could do that. Just rewind it a tad, take a screenshot of it so you've got it there to go back and answer some of those questions a little bit later. But when I do planning at the beginning of the year with my clients and we're reflecting on the year that was, so obviously we do this in January, we're reflecting on the year before. It's that last question, what do you never ever want to do again, that trips people up. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe they do nothing that they never ever want to do again. But maybe it's something you just have to do because it's part of your business marketing strategy or it's part of your business model. But if you don't want to do it and it's not getting done because of the roadblocks that you're putting in front of it because you just don't want to do it, then think about, can it be outsourced? Maybe it still has to be done, but does it have to be done by you? So that's what I would say to that question when you're a little bit tripped up of what do I never ever want to do again? Well, I know what it is, Jen, but what do I do about it? So think about outsourcing. So halfway through the year, I would really like to ask you, what's your biggest lesson so far in 2023? I'm a big advocate for lessons, that we are constantly learning and we are constantly being shown lessons in life and in business. And sometimes we need to stand up and we need to think about what that lesson was. So I'd have to say mine, both through personal experience and also experiences of my clients, is the power of the word yes. Just simply the power of the word yes. Saying yes to opportunities brings both joy and, frankly, other opportunities. It's a lesson I'm seeing over and over again in 2023. I don't know what it is, why I'm attracting this all over again, because it reminds me of a podcast episode I did in actually my first year of podcasting. So way back, 200 episodes ago, in episode 48. It was actually titled What Happened When I Said Yes for a Year. It's a bit of a, storytelling podcast where I talk about the year I said yes for a whole year and what opportunities and what that actually brought me as far as growth personally and in business, and some of the bad stuff that it brought me as well. So even though that podcast might be maybe 5 years old, coming up 5 years old, the lessons are still there. So go back and have a listen to that one as well. Of course, you'll find it as episode 48 of this podcast, or go to my website, socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/48. But that's the lesson I'm receiving loud and clear, both from myself and also through my clients, is the power of the word yes. The lesson I'm about to learn in the second half of 2023 is follow up. Absolute need to follow up leads in your business if you want it to grow. This is something I do badly in one sense, but pretty good in other senses. But it's about time that I started taking a more strategic look or a strategic flow with following up and making follow ups a priority in my business. Just like I make marketing a priority, I need to make follow ups a priority as well. I feel that that's a really big lesson that's almost coming to me as a freight train. Like, I feel like it's just humming along and it's really trying to make me sit up and listen to this lesson. So that's my first, what I'm seeing through myself and my clients in the first half of the year is the power of yes. I think my lesson in the second half is going to be the follow up lesson. So if you're setting new goals for the second half of 2023, the most important things to remember are: one, knowing why you want to achieve that goal. Number 2, what's the financial benefit of the goal? Now, it may or may not have one, but we are in business to make money. So most of our goals should have a financial benefit to them. Uh, Number 3, what's it going to take to reach that goal? Like, is that a goal achievable in the next 6 months? What's it going to take from you? What other resources is it going to take? You really need to nut that out. And number 4, what's it going to mean to you and your business if you achieve it? You've really got to learn to celebrate this stuff and look forward to the celebration. So how are you going to feel when you achieve that goal? What's it going to mean to you? What's it going to mean to your business? I cannot encourage you enough to take time mid-year to reset your goals, to help refocus on what's important and what you really want to achieve in the next 6 months. By the time I'm doing an episode about goal setting for 2024, what do you want to achieve by the end of 2023? And regardless of whether or not this applies to you, I have these particular pieces of advice to you I would really love to share. Number 1, make marketing a priority in your business. Stop making it if I've got time or a sometimes activity, and just really make it a priority. I am going to make following up a real priority because I think I've got the marketing priority thing down pat most days. Not all the time, but down most days. So follow ups for me. But if you are still struggling with your marketing, make it a priority. Absolutely make it a priority. Take some time to look at your finances at the end of this financial year. Yep, I know it can be bat crap crazy and scary, but look at them. Know what you've earned. Know what hasn't earned you money and what has. Put in more effort and energy into the last half of 2023 into your money making activities. You won't know what they are until you look at your financials. Go to Google or go to YouTube and type in, how to read a profit and loss for dummies, or how to read a balance sheet for dummies, or how to read a trial balance, or whatever it is, and just really spend some time getting to know your money. My third piece of advice is give your workplace a Marie Kondo cleanup. Clean and clear your workplace Clean desk, clean mind. If you work anything like me, this is the way I work. Clean desk, clean mind. My desk is messy, I am messy. So spend maybe an hour or two recognizing, or reorganizing, I should say, your workplace, giving it a clean and throwing out those thousands, if you're like me, of sticky notes of all those important things you'll get to one day, and get yourself a notebook to write things in rather than sticky notes everywhere. Maybe cleaning your workplace is also about cleaning out your inbox and maybe even your computer files. Give yourself the maximum chance to start clear and start clean for the second half of 2023. My fourth piece of advice is put your goals where you can see them every single day. Consider maybe even doing a vision board. Excuse me. My fifth piece of advice is learn to delegate. Now, maybe you just squirm just a little bit, or maybe your inner core just shook. Some people find it hard to delegate. I used to be one of those people. I have become a total delegator. Not everything, but I'm really proud of myself over the last 5 years or so, what I've managed to let go of and what I've managed to delegate. There have been small steps to being a great delegator, but I've done it. So if you are kind of like, I can't delegate anything, Jen, it's not in my nature to delegate. Trust me, you will have more time to focus on your goals and focus on what's in front of you if you learn to delegate. And it is possible, because I am now a delegator. My sixth piece of advice, and my final piece of advice, is if you are finding it hard to keep yourself accountable, then find an unreasonable friend or an accountability buddy. I cannot tell you how much it can change your life to have someone nudging you along, to keeping you accountable. Did you do what you said you were going to do? If not, why not? When are you going to do it? Let's put a date next to it. All of that. Yes, it feels intrusive, and yes, it feels like someone is going to be on your back, but this is what it takes when you're a small business owner and the buck stops with you. It's awfully hard to get busy being busy and get busy working in your business rather than on your business. So get yourself an accountability buddy. If you can't find one or you haven't got one, then head into my Facebook group, Like Minded Business Owners, and ask if someone would like to pair up with you. Ask in there, hey, I'm looking for an accountability buddy. Who would like to be one? I'm sure that you will find someone in there that would love to be your accountability buddy, and you can be theirs. If you're completely stuck and you feel like the challenges are too much at this point, then I'd love you to come onto a discovery call with me, and I can see how I might be able to help you. The link, of course, is in the show notes to book that on my calendar. But yeah, if you need just a little bit more help than what you can get from free podcasts and free Facebook groups, then let's have a chat and see what we can do together. We can have a chat about your goals, your struggles, your roadblocks, what's holding you back, and of course, how I can help. I'd love your thoughts on goal setting for the remainder of 2023. Will you do it? Will you make half a day, half an hour, half a morning to sit down and go through your goals for the rest of 2023? Let me know in the Facebook group, Like Minded Business Owners. I'd love for you to let me know over there. Or, of course, you can email me or DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Happy to have a chat. But that's it for episode 248. If you liked this episode and found it valuable, please leave me a rating and review. It would mean the world to me because, as you know, one of my goals for this year is to reach more people with this podcast, and you can help me achieve that by leaving me a rating or a review, if you can, where you listen to this podcast. I will see you next week for episode 249. Don't forget to call on Joe if you need some tech help in your small business. Joe would love to hear from you. You can come to the show notes and find all the links to Joe. Otherwise, just go to bit.ly/call on Joe. Of course, all the links are in my show notes. But in the meantime, let's get social on social. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn if we're not already connected. But whatever you do, remember, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.